A modern airliner is made of several million individual parts, and almost none of them are made in the same place. The wings might come from one country, the tail from another, the nose from a third, and the fourth. And yet, at the very end of that impossibly complex chain, all of it comes together inside a single building and is bolted into a finished jet in a matter of weeks. The plane you board was not really built in one factory. It was born across the whole planet, and then assembled like the most complicated kit in the world. It is tempting to imagine an aircraft factory as one enormous workshop where a plane is carved into being from raw metal. The reality is stranger and honestly more impressive. A modern jet is a system of giant pre-built sections, each one already stuffed with wiring and structure that are flown or shipped in from factories scattered across the globe and then joined together. The place where that joining happens is called the final assembly line. Understanding it is the key to understanding how the entire aerospace world actually works, because the assembly line is only the last chapter of a story that begins on several different continents. Take a single family of aircraft, the A320, one of the most common airliners on Earth. Its wings are built in Broughton in the United Kingdom. Large fuselage sections come from Hamburg in Germany. The nose and forward fuselage are equipped in Saint-Nazaire in France. The tail surfaces come from Getafe in Spain, and the engines come from separate specialist manufacturers in the United States and the United Kingdom. No single country builds the whole aircraft. Each site spends years perfecting just its piece of the puzzle, and each piece arrives at final assembly already largely complete, tested, and ready to be connected. Boeing works the same way. The fuselage of the best-selling 737 is not even built by Boeing. It is manufactured hundreds of miles from the assembly line by a specialist supplier, then handed over to be finished. A finished airliner is really a treaty between dozens of expert factories, each trusting the others to hold up their end. The Boeing 787 Dreamliner pushes this global model even further. Its major structures are sourced from around 9 different countries. The main wings are built in Japan. Large sections of the fuselage come from Italy and from the United States, and other pieces arrive from across Europe and beyond. And because so much of the Dreamliner is made from carbon fiber composite instead of aluminum, entire barrel-shaped sections of fuselage can be baked in one continuous piece inside giant pressurized ovens called autoclaves, then shipped to final assembly aboard a specially modified jumbo jet. It is a reminder that the way a plane is built is constantly being reinvented, not just where the parts are made, but what they are made out of. That raises an obvious question. How do you move a wing the length of a house or an entire fuselage barrel across an ocean? The answer is one of the quiet marvels of the industry. Airbus built a fleet of enormous, almost cartoonish cargo aircraft, nicknamed the Beluga after the whale, with a bulging upper body specifically shaped to swallow aircraft parts whole. These planes spend their lives shuttling wings, fuselages, and tails between Airbus sites across Europe, a kind of aerial conveyor belt in the sky. Boeing, for its part, moves the 737's fuselage across the United States a different way, loading the giant metal tube onto a specially fitted railway car and sending it across the country by train. If you have ever seen a photo of a green aircraft body rolling through the American countryside on a freight train, that is a jet on its way to be born. When all the pieces finally converge, they enter the final assembly line, and here the two giants of the industry take slightly different approaches. Boeing pioneered the idea of a moving assembly line, borrowed in spirit from the automobile industry. The aircraft sits on the factory floor and creeps forward continuously, extremely slowly, just a few inches at a time, so that at every station along its path, teams add the next set of components. The plane is quite literally always moving toward the door. Airbus, hemmed in by tighter spaces at some of its European plants, leans more on fixed assembly stations, where the aircraft stops at a series of dedicated positions and the work comes to it. Either way, the principle is the same. Break an overwhelmingly complex job into a sequence of smaller, repeatable steps and let the aircraft flow through them. The very first act of final assembly is the most dramatic. The major fuselage sections, which arrived as separate barrels, are lifted by overhead cranes and carefully brought together nose to tail. This is called the body join, and it is done with astonishing precision. The sections have to line up so exactly that engineers often use lasers to measure and guide the alignment down to fractions of a millimeter, because a fuselage that is even slightly crooked will never fly efficiently. Once aligned, the joints are permanently fastened, and for the first time, the shape of a recognizable aircraft appears on the floor. A long silver tube where minutes earlier there were only separate pieces. With the body joined, the aircraft is still just an empty shell, and now comes some of the most painstaking work of all. Teams move through the fuselage, installing the systems that make it a living machine. There are the electrical wires, and there are a lot of them. A single airliner can contain well over 100 miles of wiring, every strand routed, labeled, and connected by hand. Then come the hydraulic lines that will move the controls, the air conditioning ducts, the insulation blankets that keep out the cold and the noise, and the flooring that passengers will one day walk on without a second thought. In the early days on the line, an aircraft is essentially being given its nervous system, its plumbing, and its skeleton of interior structure all at once. Then comes the moment everyone thinks of when they picture building a plane. The wings, which arrived as complete units, are craned into position against the fuselage and mated to the center of the aircraft. Like the body join, this is a job measured in fractions of a millimeter and frequently guided by lasers, because the wings carry the entire weight of the aircraft in flight and hold tons of fuel inside them. Once the wings are bolted on, the machine finally looks like an airplane. The tail surfaces, the vertical fin, and the horizontal stabilizers are attached in the same period, giving the aircraft the shape that will let it steer and stay stable in the sky. Some of the heaviest and most valuable components are deliberately saved for near the end. The landing gear, those massive legs of steel and titanium, are installed and tested so the aircraft can finally stand and roll on its own wheels. And the engines, often the single most expensive part of the entire jet, are among the very last major items to be hung beneath the wings. There is a good reason for this ordering. Engines are enormously costly and precisely calibrated, so manufacturers keep them off the airframe until the structure is ready to receive them, minimizing the time these crown jewels sit exposed on a busy factory floor. And then there is the sheer mind-bending count of it all. A large airliner is held together by hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions, of individual fasteners, rivets, and bolts, a great many of them still placed, driven, and inspected by human hands. A wide-body jet can contain several million parts in total, from massive structural beams all the way down to tiny clips and brackets. Thousands of people may touch a single aircraft before it is finished, spread across engineering, machining, assembly, inspection, and testing. When you appreciate that every one of those parts has to be the correct one, in the correct place, fastened to the correct tension, the fact that these machines roll out at a rate of dozens every month stops sounding like industry and starts sounding like a miracle of organization. Before any new model ever carries a paying passenger, the very first examples go through testing that borders on the brutal. One complete airframe is built purely to be destroyed. Engineers clamp its wings and bend them upward with hydraulic jacks, further and further, far past anything a real flight would ever demand, to prove exactly how much punishment the structure can take. In the famous test of one Boeing widebody, the wingtips flexed several feet upward, bending well beyond the worst turbulence a passenger would ever feel, before the wing finally gave way. Every aircraft coming off the line today inherits the confidence that was bought by those deliberately broken prototypes. The plane you fly on was, in a sense, proven safe by a twin that was sacrificed. All of this happens inside factories that are difficult to comprehend in scale. Boeing's widebody plant in Everett, Washington, is the largest building in the world by volume, so vast that its interior air can generate its own weather patterns, and workers get around on bicycles. Inside these cathedrals of manufacturing runs a web of overhead rails carrying heavy-lift cranes, able to pick up an entire section of aircraft and glide it gently across the floor to exactly where it needs to go. Standing on the factory floor, you are surrounded by dozens of aircraft at every stage of completion at once, some little more than bare fuselage tubes, others nearly finished and gleaming, all creeping toward the same set of enormous doors. Once the airframe is structurally complete and its systems are installed, the aircraft is still not done. It rolls out of the main assembly hall and into a series of final steps. It is painted, a process far more involved than it sounds, since a full airline livery can add hundreds of pounds of weight and must be applied with exacting care. It is loaded with fuel for the first time and put through extensive ground tests, where every system is checked and rechecked. And then comes the moment the whole factory exists for. A test crew takes the brand new aircraft into the sky for its very first flight, watching every reading closely to confirm that this particular machine performs exactly as its millions of parts promise it should. After a successful first flight and a final round of inspections, the interior is completed to the Boeing airline's exact specification, and the finished jet is formally handed over in a delivery ceremony, ready to begin a working life that can easily stretch beyond 30 years. Here is the part that surprises people most. The actual physical assembly of a jet, the joining and bolting and wiring, is remarkably fast. A major airliner can move through final assembly in a matter of weeks, sometimes even days at a given station. The truly hard part is not the building. It is the choreography. Every one of those globally sourced sections has to arrive at the assembly line at exactly the right moment, in exactly the right order. If a single supplier on a single continent falls behind, the entire line can grind to a halt, because there is nowhere to store a spare wing or a spare fuselage while you wait. This is just-in-time manufacturing stretched across the entire planet, and it is arguably a more impressive achievement than the assembly itself. Airbus alone runs around 10 separate final assembly lines for the A320 family, spread across Europe, the United States, and China, all fed by the same global river of parts, aiming to complete dozens of aircraft every single month. So why build aircraft this way, in a fragile chain that spans oceans instead of under one roof? Because no single company and arguably no single country can be the best in the world at everything a modern jet demands. It takes specialists to master wings, other specialists to master engines, others to perfect fuselage structures and avionics and landing gear. By letting each expert do what it does best and then assembling their work at the end, the industry produces machines of a complexity that would be impossible for any one factory to achieve alone. The final assembly line is where all that scattered genius is finally stitched into a single, coherent flying machine. So the next time you walk down a jet bridge and step aboard, take a second to remember what you are really boarding. Not just a plane, but the finished product of a worldwide collaboration. Millions of parts from dozens of countries, flown and shipped and railed to one enormous building. And they're joined, wired, winged, and tested into a single machine, all so that it could carry you safely across the sky.